Welcome to Theology on Tap. We actually had to turn the microphones on. I'm Michael Spillman here with Father Miguel Hernandez, our pastor tonight. And today's topic is return to worship. And, when we picked the topic, it was kind of odd to me because we've been worshiping this whole time and everybody's been with us. But we're going to talk about what it's going to be like to come back to campus and be able to come back to church and worship here with all of us here at St. Joseph's. So that's the topic tonight. And we're going to go through all the details, what it's going to look like, what you have to wear, all of the procedures, all the adjustments we have to make so everybody can be safe and happy and healthy here at St. Joseph's. But before we begin, let's open up in prayer, and I'm going to pass it over to Father Miguel.
Thanks, Mike, and welcome everyone. As different from what we did last week and the week prior to that, where we did a lot more theological reflections, we are going to talk more about the mechanics of returning to worship here at St. Joseph. But of course, we will begin with prayer. And I'm going to be reading a short passage from the Gospel of John. If you need a visual aid, it's right behind me. It's the story of Peter and John running to the tomb. Now, this passage that I'm going to be reading, when I say the other disciple, I want you to put your hand on your heart, and I want you to silently say, that is me. So as I read, I'm going to pause. When I say the other disciple, you're going to say to yourself, that is me. And then I'll continue reading. Because that is precisely the purpose of how St. John wrote his gospel. So let us begin. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I invite you to put your hand on your heart. On the first day of the week, Mary of Magdala came to the tomb early in the morning while it was still dark, and saw the stone removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, whom Jesus loved, and told them, they have taken the Lord from the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him. So Peter and the other disciple went out and came to the tomb. They both ran, but the other disciple ran faster than Peter and arrived at the tomb. He bent down and saw the burial cloths there, but did not go in. When Simon Peter arrived after him, he went into the tomb and saw the burial cloths there, and the cloth that had covered his head, not with the burial cloth, but rolled up in a separate place. Then the other disciple also went in, the one who arrived at the tomb first, and he saw and believed. For they did not yet understand the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. Then the disciples returned home. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the gift of inviting us to be your disciple. And as we rejoin as a community of disciples here at St. Joseph, we ask that you continue to pour down your blessings and grace upon us. We ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Mike.
Well, thank you, Father. Over the past 90 days or so, going on 90 days, what seems like the past 3 months, we haven't been able to be together as a community here on campus. But we've been together as a community in new ways of ministry that we never thought was going to be possible, ideas that we had tossed around and said, well, we don't need that. We have this building, we have these facilities, we have all this opportunity to meet on campus. And we never thought of doing anything differently until God forced us to through COVID-19. And with that, even though we're coming back onto campus and so to speak, we're returning to worship, I invite you to reflect on the worship we've been doing over the last 90 days. And, something struck me in the first reading from Daily Mass today, and that was from 2 Timothy in the first reading. The Word of God is unchanged. Even though we haven't been here, the Word of God has still been present in our lives. And for many of us, we've been even more engaged for the use of Zoom and Google Meets and even the live streamings and interactions on Theology on Tap on Thursdays. You've been chatting in questions, we've been talking by email, we've been talking on the phone, and just generally engaging with each other. And the vibrancy of this parish has been apparent to me in many different new ways. In prayer, in small group ministry that's now been meeting by Zoom. And even though we were kind of forced to think about things differently, it was embraced. And I am just so proud of all of us as a community, proud of us as a community of faith. And even though now we can come back together a little bit in person, that love for God, that love for Christ has been present these last 90 days. And it has been witnessed by those of us here kind of behind the camera, delivering it to you. And St. Joseph's is just a wonderful place. I just wanted to share that reflection with you as we move on and talk about all the details of what it's going to look like when you come back. Before I pass it over to Father Miguel, when we go into the details tonight, let us get through the slides and then start bringing your questions. We have about 7-8 slides to share with you tonight that's going to go through all the mechanics that we have to comply with in terms of county health, the collaboration with the diocese, the collaboration with our staff here. We've really put a lot of work into it, so let us get through the slides, make sure we don't answer your question as we go through the program, and then let the questions come in. We'll allow for plenty of time and get to all those answers. Father?
Yes, and if we don't get to your questions today, of course, you can always email us, but I just want to inform all of you that the information that we are going to offer you, and that's how we came up with these slides and the procedures for our parish, we did not just pull it out of the air. We received information from county and state health agencies like OSHA and CDC. The Diocese of Orange, of course, has given us a lot of information. The Liturgical Commission of the country has also informed us about procedures, liturgical procedures about going back into church and celebrating Mass and sacraments and so forth and so on. And of course, the advisors to the diocese has also given us this information. So we have really received a lot of information, which is good information. And because we're not doctors or scientists that know about these situations, we have to trust that with the information that they're giving us is the information that we need to follow. And at the end of the day, what comes to mind with this whole understanding of coming back to worship together in our church, in our campus, is common sense for the common good. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to decide, based on our ability to return with limitations back to church and to Mass, you have to be able to follow the requirements that we're given to follow here at the parish. We have to respect from the person who's going to be sanitizing the bathrooms, to the presider, to the person that's going to be distributing communion, to the person who's going to be probably greeting you at the door. Everyone has to be respectful of each other, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure that everyone is safe when they come here for worship. I know this is going to be different from what we all know. This is certainly going to take some time for us to get used to it, but this information, what we're doing today, Theology on Tap, it's going to be on YouTube and Facebook, I believe. You'll be able to see it again, and then you, based on your abilities to follow directions, or your health, or your own personal situations, you will make decisions whether you are going to come on June 14 to celebrate Mass with us here, or there's always going to be the option of continuing to live stream. Don't forget that the Bishop of the Diocese, Bishop Ann, has extended indefinitely the obligation to come to church on Sunday. The purpose here is that everyone is respected and everyone is safe. Mike.
So we're going to start in on all of the procedures and all the details about coming back to campus. And the first portion we're going to dive right into, segueing off of Father Miguel, is staying healthy together. And staying healthy together isn't just about the procedures. It's about everybody respecting each other and making sure that we're doing this for each other. I know we're not all going to like all of the requirements. I personally don't like all of the requirements. I don't like the first one we're going to talk about. and that's the face coverings. Face coverings are going to be required at all times, and they're hot. Personally, I'm a big guy. Obviously, I put a face covering on. It gets very hot very fast. I don't love the idea, but I want everybody to stay safe and healthy. So we're going to wear it, and face coverings are going to be required at all times. When you come onto campus and you exit your car, please put your face covering on and make sure that they cover the nose and the mouth. They have to cover both. I don't know if some of you have experienced, but I was, where was I just recently? I think the grocery store. And I'm walking around, and a lot of people have it on, but it's barely covering the mouth and the nose is exposed. So it's got to cover the nose and the mouth, or it's really not doing its job. And we know that face masks aren't the end-all, be-all of disease prevention. It is not foolproof, but it does reduce the risk. And that's what this is about, is reducing the risk and keeping everybody healthy. So the face coverings can be lifted at the designated mark when you consume the Eucharist. When you come up for communion, you're going to receive communion in the hand, and you can then move to the side, and I believe there will be another marking on the floor. You can lift your face mask and then receive, and then return your face mask over your mouth and then head towards the exit door. So we'll get into those procedures a little bit more later, but that's the only time that we're going to lift the mask. Otherwise, it's going to remain on while you're on campus. Secondly, hand sanitizers will be prevalent at all of our doors. We ask that you do apply hand sanitizer before you come in. It'll also be at entry doors when you come in. And it's really important. Sanitize one more time before you come in, because you never know what you'll touch and pick up on the way, and that'll just keep everybody safe.
And I will add, Mike, if people can bring their own personal sanitizers in their purse or in their pockets, please do so. Bring it. And once you're inside and you just feel that you need to use it, go ahead and apply it. Make sure that you do that. That's always recommended.
When you are on campus, obviously everybody knows that we have our restrooms available, and we look forward to the day that they become much bigger. But right now we have our current restrooms, and they're very small. So we want to prevent gathering in that space. So the restroom capacity when we come back to campus is going to be 2 people at a time in the women's restroom, and this is just for the church. When we get to the point down the road where we're opening the parish center and we have the bigger restrooms, that's a different story. But right now in the church, 2 people at a time in the women's restroom, 1 person at a time in the men's restroom, and we'll have some markers down on the floor, kind of a waiting line 6 feet apart if you are waiting to use the restroom, so that everybody can take care of business. But we keep that space in those restrooms because they are very small.
And I would add, Mike, if someone has a profound need of using the facilities, whether it's with children or elderly people, maybe that's a sign for you it's not time for you to come to church. Bathrooms will be available, they will be sanitized, but then again, and that's something that's been mentioned in all the literature that we've received. If you can avoid using them, please do so. So don't drink your cup of coffee before you come to church, or don't bring a big bottle of water because you're going to want to use those bathrooms. Let's try to avoid that. But if you do need those facilities and maybe you're going to have to use them, maybe that's a sign for you. Maybe coming to church right now is not the right moment.
Well, I find it ironic, Father Miguel, for all we've had to do and all we've had to worry about during the last 90 days of COVID-19, we find ourselves talking about bathrooms again.
I know.
I mean, everything else we have to talk about, we're talking about restrooms.
Right.
And in all seriousness, too, try and use the restroom at home as much as possible. We all, I have kids, I can tell them 50 million times use the restroom, and as soon as we get here, I have to use the restroom. So just try and minimize the precaution and do the best you can. But know that we will, put those practices in place of limiting how many people in at one time. And just be on the honor system. Just wait outside, make sure only the 2 are in the women's restroom, the 1 in the men's, and we'll go forward like that. So moving on into some other staying healthy together guidelines, our safe liturgy practices. There's going to be no physical contact. Unfortunately, right now, we're not going to shake hands. We're not going to hold hands during the Our Father. We're not going to give each other hugs right now. But, worship doesn't necessarily have to change. Obviously the priests and our lectors have been in the building when we've been live streaming Mass, and we all give the sign of peace to each other by just extending our hands. And even though we're not shaking hands, it does. We're communicating to each other.
Right.
I mean, I know you do too, Father. And it's just becoming a part of the new way of worship.
Right. And this is going to be very difficult for everyone, especially if you haven't seen your friends or members of the parish. And, the tradition is to shake hands or maybe give a hug, kiss, whatever. Well, that is certainly something that we can't do. But again, it's something that we need to take into consideration. Can I do that? If I can't, maybe I shouldn't come to church yet. But if I can, I know that I'm supposed to bow with my friends or wave at them or, how are you? That's what we will have to do. And even the sign of peace, as you've probably seen during Mass, we're not shaking hands, we're not embracing anyone. A simple bow is enough to keep this thing going, for us to be able to recognize that we're acknowledging the other person as part of the liturgy.
The next one we're going to talk about is communion time. When you come up to receive the Eucharist, when you come through the communion line. We're going to talk about the process and which aisles you're going to come down in a little bit, but first I want to talk about the practice. We're only going to receive communion in the hand. We are not going to receive communion on the tongue. And again, this is just about common sense, staying healthy together. If we try and distribute communion on the tongue, then there is a high risk of people touching each other and cross-contamination onto vessels and other hosts and other things. So communion is going to be by the hand only, and we can be very safe in doing so. The parishioners will be coming up with a mask on. Eucharistic ministers and priests will have masks on. We will not have gloves on, but hands will be washed in the sacristy before communion time, and then hand sanitizer will be applied in the sanctuary area before we pick up our vessels and move out to distribute to communion. And then communion will be handed out, will be received by extending your hands as far as you can go, so that the Eucharistic minister or priest can extend their hand as far as they can go and gently let it go into your hands so that they're not touching you and you're not touching them, and then they will draw their hands. So that's going to be the practice for communion.
And let me say a word about communion, which is a crucial, big, important of our liturgical liturgy. For example, I've had conversations with Father Martin. I do not feel safe and comfortable giving out communion during these days. I will not be giving out communion. And it's not because he doesn't love the Eucharist. He has been a priest for over 46 years. In fact, last Monday, he celebrated 46 years as a priest. The fact that he is not going to give out communion doesn't mean that he doesn't like the Eucharist or love the Eucharist or understands the Eucharist. The fact is he has chosen not to do it for his own health. I have told my parents, both my parents, please do not go to church during these days. Even if your local parish opens up, do not go. You are dispensed from the obligation. You do not need to go because you are of high risk. And the fact that we're going to be distributing communion in the hand only is because we cannot ask another minister or staff member to put themselves at risk by doing it differently. We have to respect that common sense for the common good for everyone. Mike.
Thank you, Father. The next item we're going to talk about is how we're going to sit in church. All persons not living in the same household will have to be 6 feet apart. The pews will be designated in this way. There'll be markers marking off every other pew. Every other pew will be closed. And then if you are living in the same household, you can sit next to each other in a pew. If you are not from the same household, you need to make sure that you are one marker apart. And basically what that means is in our 2 center aisles, the two areas of pews on each side of the center aisle, that can have 3 people in them, or even potentially 3 couples, if you're sitting right next to each other, could be in those center pews. But our outside pews, both on the baptismal side and Our Lady of Guadalupe side, those can only have 2 people in them, 1 at each end, because those are shorter pews. So please follow the markers. Please follow the guidelines of staff and ushers. If you are sitting too close together and we ask you to move, we just ask your cooperation and staying healthy together. Just go ahead and get up and move. We will make sure that we find a seat for you and that everybody's comfortable and everybody's safe. Outside of seating, after we're done receiving communion, and we will talk more about that as we get onto the program, but after you're done receiving communion, communion is going to feel a little blessing, and you will immediately exit the church and head to your car. Unfortunately, right now, we just need to stay healthy together, but we can't gather together. So we won't be congregating after Mass out in the courtyard. We're just going to head straight to our cars and leave the premises. And it's also going to leave some option open for us to do some drive-through communion and some other things that we're going to talk about in a minute for the people that can't necessarily come to Mass. So, Father, you want to say anything else?
Yes,
about
I would like to
change?
show everyone these markers. These are the fleur-de-lis, which we have them in our church doors and part of our parish logo. It's part of our stationery, and it's also going to be part of our brand new sign that we're going to get in front of the church. So this is a very recognizable sign. The bigger fleur-de-lis will be on the aisles and in the back vestibule of the church, so you will be able to recognize what 6 feet distance is. If you have gone to Target or Walmart or any of those stores, you would have already been able to recognize that they're putting those signs in the stores before you get to the cashiers or to consult someone. So this is going to be on the floor to recognize the 6 feet distance, so that you're reminded as you're processing up to go to communion or you're walking in, making sure that you're also keeping that distance. The smaller one will be in the pews so that people will recognize where you can be seated. The reason why they're gold and not red or yellow or some flashy color is because we want them to be nice. And of course, Summer Pangetti, along with Cheryl Gosling and Judy Rothis, have been working on this. And of course, women are always able to make things look pretty, and they did. And this looks much better in our church versus something that's red or yellow or ugly looking. It blends into the carpet or into the pews. So these are the markings that you want to look for in order to be able to keep social distance. And then the smaller one will mark the pews and the place where you can be seated.
And I just want to share with everybody, Father, the reason why we picked those, the fleur-de-lis, not only does it tie into our logo, but we pick that color so that we can still be mindful and prayerful when we're in church. I know all of us have just grown to love the big blue signs in Ralph's and Costco that says wait here, but we don't want to be forceful about it. All of us know what we have to do, and it's just that gentle reminder that still kind of keep us in the mind frame of prayer and reverence when we're in church.
And they're not distractful. But as you approach them with the light inside the church, you will see the reflection of the fleur-de-lis on the floor or in the pews, and you will immediately recognize those places, either to keep the social distance or to know where to sit down in the pew.
So we're going to get into our next segment, and we're going to hold off the slide for a minute and just talk about, in general, coming back to Mass. So the schedule is going to change. Our daily Mass is going to stay the same, but the weekend schedule is going to change because we do have limitations on how many people we can have here on campus and inside the building at any one time. So because of that, and because we know that the size of the crowd could potentially grow well past the amount that we're allowed to have in the building, we will be having ticketing for our services on Sunday only. And only for a few of the services. So just hang tight. We're going to get through all the details on that. But to come to Mass on Sunday morning, you will have to have a ticket that you get online. There's no charge for it, but it is basically like getting yourself a reservation so that you can come to the church so that we know we have a seat for everybody that wants to be there for that Mass. As restrictions change, things will open up going on into the future, but right now we just have to be very careful. Father, I think you have something to say?
Yes. The reason for the change in schedule for Sundays is because we want to know First of all, we want to start small and then get back to our normal life schedules and everything else. But we want to start small because we don't know how many people will be here. We want to have some control. We want to be able to study and evaluate our procedures here at St. Joseph. And the only way we can do is by starting small so that we can somehow have some control over what worked, what didn't work, and what needs to be improved for future masses or future celebrations. Again, the idea is to make sure that we are safe when we come here. And we're going to be looking into the schedule in a few minutes of what that's going to be looking like. And there's going to be a variety of things for you to choose from. Again, you are not obligated to come to church. We will have the live streams service, and of course we will have drive-through communion. We'll get to that in a minute for those that follow the live streams for our Sunday masses. Not the daily masses, but only for Sunday masses.
Okay. So let's get into our schedule. First of all, we're going to talk about daily mass, and we'll bring up that first slide. And daily mass, no change in the times. Monday through Friday, please join us at 8:30 a.m. and Saturday at 8 a.m. Now, because we have to restrict how many people can be in the church, we are not opening the doors until 30 minutes prior to Mass. So please don't come at 6 o'clock in the morning. The church will be locked. But for daily Mass, Monday through Friday, the church will open at 8 a.m. There will be somebody to greet you. Hand sanitizer will be out, and you can come take your seat. Social distance, of course. But our capacity is 100 persons in the church, including staff and presiders. There is no advance ticketing. You don't need a ticket to come to daily Mass. To make sure that you're not come first serve in terms of once we hit 100, we do have to go ahead and close that down once the church is at capacity. Now, only for daily Mass, we will have overflow seating in Hall A. Right now, Hall B is set up with equipment for our programs, but Hall A will be available. We can accommodate another 25 to 30. We haven't counted it out yet, so don't hold me to that, but we will have social distance seating in Hall A only for daily Mass Monday through Saturday, but it won't be live Mass. You will get the live stream on the TV monitor, and then a Eucharistic minister will come over to distribute communion in Hall A, and that's for Monday through Saturday. Karen Donner asked us to address bringing someone in a wheelchair, and I will be going through the procedures of how we're moving through church, so let me get back to that, Karen, as we get a little bit later in the program. I actually have a diagram we can bring on the screen, and I'll show you the wheelchair access.
Yeah. Coming back to daily masses, let me add this information. We are not live streaming Mass into the entire hall because we don't know how many people will come, but we will offer an overflow section of the hall if there's a need for that. If there's a bigger need for more, we will do more. But it makes no sense to open up the entire hall if there's only going to be 5 people. But again, we will be able to adjust and evaluate as we go. For those that will be coming into church, you're going to see some things that are different. Number one, there are going to be no missalettes. There are going to be no hymnals. There are going to be nothing that you can touch and leave behind. That is gone. That has been taken out of the church. What we will use for Sundays only, is what used to be our weekly bulletin. We'll have the music printed and the readings for Sunday only. That's only for weekends. When we get to weekdays, we are now, as we speak, working on getting screens into the church so that readings will be projected onto the church for daily masses and of course for Sunday as well. But no more missalettes, no more hymnals. If you want to bring your iPad with the readings, it's perfectly fine, but you're responsible to bring that in and of course take it out. Those bulletins that are going to have the readings and the music are going to be considered disposable worship aids. So if you come into church on Sundays, you have to either take it with you or there's going to be trash cans outside the church and you have to dispose of them immediately. You can't leave them in the pews. They will not be reused. For daily masses, again, there will be no daily missals for people to use. Of course, theologically and liturgically, the appropriate thing to do when you come to Mass is to listen to the readings that are being proclaimed rather than reading. But of course, we will have that projected into the church.
And we do ask everyone's partnership, with the bulletins being used as worship aids. They are for individual use, as Father said, so please help us do take them with you and either put them in the recycle bin that's going to be available or take them home. They're yours to keep. There will be, minimal announcement information in them, but take them home, cover your books with them, line the cat box. It's okay with us, whatever you want to do with it. Use it to start your grill or bonfire, but you will help us stay healthy together, and you will help our staff and volunteers by taking them out of the church. We don't want to leave them in the pews. That will help our turnover process as we move Mass to Mass and re-sanitize and get ready for the next group to come in. So for daily Mass, yes, we have a question coming in from a viewer. I'm sorry, I don't know who it's from, but yes, you will leave after daily Mass as well. So Mass is going to end with communion, and you will exit the church. We are planning a day, I believe it's the 19th, Father, correct, where we are going to have adoration.
Yes.
And if you would like to come back for adoration, you can return to the seat you were sitting in, and adoration will be for 1 hour on the 19th of June, starting immediately after Mass. But other than that, yes, daily Mass will be handled the same way. You will come to Mass, you will exit after communion, and the church will be closed. And I want everybody to understand that coming back right now is for the purposes of worship. We are not open to the public yet. So the Parish Center office will not be open yet, only by appointment and phone calls. So when you get done with Mass, the doors will be locked. And the parish hall and group gatherings are not open yet. We are only permitted to come back for worship at the capacity of 100 people for an indoor service. So we are here for you by appointment, by phone and email. We are still limited staffing. There's only a few of us working, but we will get to you. Leave us a message or make an appointment. If you need to see us for some reason, we will make an appointment. I know Henrietta has been doing Mass intentions by appointment and pickups and things like that. So if you need something, members of our staff are here for you, but please just give us a call or give us an email, and we will get back to you as quickly as possible.
And let me just remind people, Mike, that if you have been following prayerfully our liturgies, our Masses, whether it's Sunday or weekdays, you will have seen that the presiding priest nowadays, unless there's concelebrants priest, but the priest who's presiding and the priests that are concelebrating receive, and then the presiding priest does not go down and distribute communion to the lectors or the sacristan who's there. So that is already something that you can notice that's a change. So Mass will happen and conclude. The presiding priest will go into the sacristy, and those of us that will be available to become Eucharistic ministers will come out immediately, go to our stations, and with respect and social following social distancing, you will come up, you will receive communion, and you will go directly out to your car and then home.
Okay, so let's move on into Sunday Masses. So we will have 4 Masses to begin with every Sunday. And notice I did say Sunday. For now, there will not be a Vigil Mass on Saturday. That doesn't mean that there won't be in the future. As Father said, we're taking this week by week. We are evaluating this day by day, along with week by week. So we will see what attendance is like. We will see what demand is like. We will see what our regulations and staff capabilities can keep up with, and we will continue to evolve through this process. But right now, only 4 Sunday Masses on Sunday. And that's going to be 8 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m. in Spanish, and then we're going to have a special outdoor Mass at 7 p.m. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I want to talk about the first 3. So the first 3 are inside. They are restricted to 100 parishioners, 100 people in the building, period. So 8 a.m., our first Mass is going to be designated for seniors and people that are of vulnerable health to COVID-19. So if you have health conditions that you're healthy and you can still come to Mass, but you really cannot be around it and you need to be a little bit more cautious, but healthy enough to feel like you can be here, the 8 a.m. Mass on Sunday is for you. The church capacity is 100 and advanced ticketing is required. And we are going to talk about how to secure your ticket online later in the broadcast. We have a slide for that. So we'll tell you how to get that ticket, but you're going to go on and reserve your space to be part of that 100 and come to Mass and have your ticket. But 8 a.m. is only for seniors 65 and above, or if you're in that vulnerable health category.
Let me add to that, make sure that people understand what the 8 o'clock Mass is about. And if I, for example, if you're a senior, you fit that description for the 8 o'clock Mass on Sunday, what you should be thinking. Think about your doctor, or if you have a way to contacting your doctor, I would highly, strongly recommend that you contact your doctor or someone in the clinic that attends to your health and ask, am I able to go to a public gathering? And if they say absolutely not, then that's your response about coming to Mass at all. If you are healthy and fit the category for that 8 o'clock Mass, we're going to be here for you. But you will have to wear a mask the entire time, and you will have to be able to be healthy. You can't have the flu, you can't have temperature, you can't be coughing or sneezing, because that will trigger people to be concerned if we're in the building. So again, we have to be respectful to your surroundings and who's going to be around you. So if you're not feeling well, stay home. If temperature is, you have a temperature, stay home. If you've been in contact with someone that might have been exposed to COVID-19, of course, please don't come. Stay home. But other than that, if you are healthy and able to come, please do come and try to get one of those tickets so you can come and join us. Again, if you don't come for the 8 o'clock Mass because you're just not healthy, don't forget, after the 8 o'clock Mass on Sunday, we will have a drive-through, and we'll get to that in a minute, line in your cars where we are going to be outside the church after Mass and distribute communion. If you want to drive by, we'll give you communion, and then you can just go and drive back home.
So the 8 a.m. Mass is designated, and then of course we have the 10:30 Mass, and then we have 1 o'clock Mass, and that's going to be in Spanish. And so we have a little bit of shift in the schedule. Communion option, and we have time to reset. Seniors and vulnerable, 10:30 a.m. 100 max in the building. 30 minutes before Mass. No here earlier. Please stay in your car. We cannot let you in the building. We've got to turn that building over. We've got to make sure that we're staying healthy for all three of these Masses. So right now we're only live streaming 10:30 a.m. English Mass, and we're live streaming Mass in Spanish, which is moving to 1 p.m. We are going to add 8 a.m. We will live stream it. So you have the option to watch it from home, and it can stop there. If you don't feel comfortable coming, you have dispensation, it can stop there. If you would like to receive communion after live streaming the Mass, 15 minutes after Mass ends, even if Mass ends early, 15 minutes after it's scheduled to end, we will have the drive-through option where you can drive and there'll be a drive-through line. You can receive communion from your car, and then you will drive out and go back home. So we'll talk about that procedure in a second. But that will be available for 8, 10:30, and 1 o'clock. We know we're kind of getting on here in time. We're almost at 6:10. We got a couple more slides to do. We will get to all the slides. We may go a little long tonight. Stay with us. You can come back and re-watch this broadcast if you missed something, and we will take your questions. So don't be afraid. We're going to cut you off right at 6:30. We're going to keep going and get through everything tonight.
One of the things I want to add is for all Masses, once we open up and have people in the church, Masses will be shorter, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be happy that homilies will not be longer than 3 minutes. We're going to try to keep it to that. I know Father Martin is very concerned that he has to have short homilies. Father Don is fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. But we're going to have to keep our homilies short and be able to have a smaller version of what we normally did, where it was about an hour. We're going to try to keep Masses for about 45, 50 minutes so that we are able to distribute communion. People get to their cars, start driving out so that we can attend the people that are going to be driving into the campus for the communion line, distribute them communion, then they can go home, and we'll be able to continue with Sunday.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide from the production team here. And we're going to elaborate a little bit more about that Sunday 8 a.m. Mass real quick. Again, designated for persons of higher risk or severe illness, 65 and older. If you are at risk, but the doctor thinks it's still okay, you can come to a Mass like this, then we're here for you. If you need to stay home, stay home. Church capacity is still 100 events. Ticketing is required. And we'll go ahead and advance to the next slide and talk about our outdoor Mass, I believe.
Before we change, which is fine, we'll go into that other. There was a question about someone saying, my husband is 65, but I'm a little younger. I'm assuming the wife is saying that. We're not going to be checking ID, so don't be concerned about that. But then again, common sense for common good. We're not going to be asking for your driver's license. But of course, we want you to be able to help us make sure that we're following the directions that we're putting out there for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Tied to our first three Masses. There's no drive-through communion after the evening Mass. This is only for 8 a.m., 10:30, and 1 p.m. Mass will have drive-through communion afterwards. So they will drive-through communion regardless of when Mass ends. Drive-through communion will be at the times listed on the slide, 9:15 to 9:45 for the first Mass, 11:45 to 12:15 for the second, and 2:15 to 2:45 for the third. Please, if at all possible, do not arrive early. We will be here for you and accommodate you. It's a half-hour window. You have plenty of time. We want you to take your time. We don't want any car accidents. We don't want any speeding tickets. We just want you to get here safely, and we will be here for you. It's a half-hour window that starts well after Mass is going to be over, but we want to be able to get everybody off campus that was here for Mass so that there's no traffic jams, and give us time to get out, and also let the team start sanitizing the church for the next Mass. So please come, take your time, drive slowly on campus. There is a hold line that you can see on the map, and if we can bring that map back up real quick. So you're going to come in, and if you are a St. Joseph school parent, you're used to this. We're going to follow the same procedure that they do when they drop off children in the morning or pick them up in the afternoon when we're open normally. And so you're going to pull in the normal entrance to the church. You're going to veer right to go behind the school and come around that back side and up the other side of the school. You're going to stop where you see that red hold line on your screen if there's a gate or cones up, because if we need to regulate traffic, we're going to hold you there before we move you up into the communion area. If there's nothing there telling you to stop, if it's open, then keep following the arrows and come all the way up to the communion area. One car at a time, just stop behind them when it's clear, pull in, and the ministers will be there, or the priest will be there to distribute communion, and then you can go ahead and exit. So you're not going to park, you're not going to get out of your car, it's strictly drive-through, you'll receive communion, and then you will exit. Father, you want to add anything to that?
Again, you do not need to come do that. But if you want to and can get here, we're going to be here for you. We're not going to run out of communion. Believe me, we are not going to run out of communion. We will have communion for everyone. Just be safe, drive safely, please follow the directions, and if you're here, we'll give you communion. But again, you do not need to come for it. But if you do, we're here for you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to outdoor Mass. So outdoor Mass is going to be on Sundays at 7 p.m. This is as the sun starts to set. Sun doesn't set till after 8 o'clock. And we've kind of did some experimenting with being out there and seeing what the sun looked like and the heat looked like. So we settled on 7 o'clock as being a good time for outdoor Mass. So seating is going to be open, and you can sit in the parking lot or on the field, but you're going to bring your own chair or blanket to sit on. We are not going to provide any seating at all because we are not prepared to be able to sanitize that or have that kind of capacity. You have to bring your own seating or sit on the ground on a blanket. It's totally up to you. All persons not living in the same household must sit 6 feet apart. And that's going to be on the honor system. We will have some signage up that's going to show you what 6 feet looks like. And we just ask with your cooperation and being healthy together, staying healthy together. We will have some staff you to spread out, but we don't want to uproot people after you've had your chairs out. We just ask your cooperation and your support and kind of self-regulating that and make sure that we're social distance, but we have a ton of room out on the blacktop and the grass. Some of the seating might be a little far away, but you're going to be able to hear. We're going to put plenty of speakers up, and you'll be able to be here and be present with us, and we will have communion at that Mass. We're not going to live stream it. That's just too complicated out there, and we are not having drive-through communion after that Mass. It's just come to regular Mass. We will have communion, and then you will exit afterwards. And we do want everybody to exit after Mass is over. Please do not stay and congregate. The playground is going to be closed off. We can't have kids out on that right now. It's just for the purposes of Mass. But we will have it available. Please be here and participate in that way, and we want you here. And we're going to, let's bring up, go into the slide that has the map of the outdoor Mass real quick so I can show everybody, and then I know we have a couple questions we need to get to. So this is what the setup loosely is going to look like. The altar is going to be on a raised platform between St. Vincent de Paul and the lunch table area at about a 45-degree angle. The music ministry and audiovisual operating board is going to be adjacent to that in front of St. Vincent de Paul. And so as you can see here, you can sit anywhere in that open parking lot. There will be no traffic past that red line. You can sit anywhere in the grass and all the way back against the school if you need to. There's lots of room. So if one of the options in the morning is too hard, or we're oversold and you can't get a ticket, this is a good option. Being outside is one of the better safety options. UV rays in 10 to 20 seconds. So being outside is a better environment, and we can certainly have more people. There are no quantity restrictions per se, as long as we still abide by the face masks and we are still 6 feet apart and doing that social distancing. We can have people out for that outdoor Mass. So we're looking forward to that, and we want you here for that outdoor Mass. Father?
For the outdoor Mass, please come comfortable. Please don't bring your tie and your tuxedo. It's going to be warm, so make sure. But again, you're not coming to the beach, so don't come on your tank tops or bikinis or anything like that. You're coming to church, but be comfortable. That's what's one thing that's going to be important. So be respectful, but again, be comfortable out there because it is going to be warm. I want to answer some questions before we continue on. Jean Pesafumi had a question about taking communion to the sick that they couldn't come to Mass. Because Mass is not an obligation right now, Jean, no one should be taking communion right now to anyone, at least for the 2 first weekends. We will get to that and evaluate that as things progress, but at the moment, no taking communion to anyone right now because it is not a mandate, an obligation to go to Mass. No obligation. The other thing is, Alan Carlos asked a question about the bathrooms. If the bathrooms renovation was going to be changed because of the situation. No, it's not going to be changed because we are hoping that when we start the project and by the time we're done with it, we're not going to be dealing with this whole situation. So bathrooms are not going to be affected by the situation. The problem right now is the usage. Even if we had big bathrooms, the problem here is just simply using them. If we can avoid using them, even if they were huge, that's precisely the problem. In fact, right now it's kind of better that we have smaller ones so that not a lot of people go into them. But again, it's important that you understand this situation will not affect the new bathrooms that we're going to be getting in the church. And there's a question, any confession times or procedures? We have always, throughout this whole pandemic, have been available for confessions. Please call us. We'll be happy to help you. We are not having scheduled times, especially not in the church, to hear confessions or in the confessionals. But Father Martin and myself have been available for confession the entire time. Just call us. We'll be happy to help you. Monday through Friday, just let us know. We'll call you back, and confessions are available by appointment. Okay, Karen is asking here, for those without internet, how can they request a ticket? Oh, that's going to be an interesting, like Joan Cesa. Again, Karen, I know that you are able to get on your computer and you might be able to get a ticket for someone. If that is the case, again, for someone that might not be able or healthy to come, maybe you might want to continue to live stream masses from a distance and then observe how things unravel. And maybe later on, we'll be able to have more people in church. Debbie quickly had, will you be passing out bulletins? Yes, the bulletins will be handed out as you handed out as you come in. You will take them and have them with you. Once Mass is over, you take them with you, or you throw them in the garbage bin once you leave the church.
To answer the other part of that question, Father, is we will not hand out bulletins at the drive-through for Eucharist because we are using the bulletins as worship aids.
Yes.
We do want to make sure we have enough for the masses. The bulletins will still be available online. We've been putting, right now the bulletin's kind of broken up, so we've been putting the pastoral letter up. We've been putting mass intentions and stuff on the homepage of the website. But once we go back to printing that bulletin for the purpose of a worship aid, we will go ahead and post that file online under bulletins. Yeah. So you'll be able to access it online.
And of course, Debbie, there is nothing else that we can put on the bulletin now because there are no gatherings, there are no choirs, there are no meetings. There is nothing else aside from Mass happening. So that's why we will only have the Mass and the readings.
Tickets, to answer Matt Heffern's question, tickets are first come, first serve. We're going to go into ticketing in a couple more slides here, so I will get to that, but they will be first come, first serve. We're just asking for everybody's support. Obviously, the outdoor Mass is not ticketed, so if you can come to that, that is a very good option right now. The 3 ticketed Masses, we are asking people to get online or help somebody get online if they can. If you absolutely need us, you can give us a call, and we will try and get you a ticket and reserve one for you if they're still available. But again, our staff is very limited right now, and if we can answer the phone and we catch your call and we can get you a ticket, we will do that. But we ask for everybody's support and help. If you can get a ticket for somebody that might not have a computer, if they are in good health and they can be here, then we ask for your support in doing that. To help get them a reservation so that they can come to Mass. And remember, there is dispensation. So if you can't come to Sunday, please come to daily Mass. We're not going to do advanced ticketing on that. I think the crowd should be okay based on historical knowledge of attendance. We think we're going to be okay. So if you can't come on Sunday and daily Mass is a better option, again, I know we've said it a couple times, but dispensation is okay for Sunday, and we want you to come to daily Mass and exercise that option.
And the bishop has given us that option where if you feel safer coming to a daily Mass, that suffices from your obligation, even though there is no obligation. So don't feel obligated to come. If you've been live streaming Mass, maybe you want to do that for a week or so and find out and just see how things are going. That also, again, will give us time to evaluate things, and if there's anything that needs to be changed, we will adjust it and make sure that we are doing this the right way.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to talk about entrance and exit when you are coming to Mass for the indoor Masses. So I'm going to bring that slide up real quick, and we're going to talk about kind of the traffic flow. So when you are entering church, you are only going to enter through the side door towards Bradford Avenue on either side. They're both marked as entrances in blue, and we'll have the bigger map on the website. Everything that we talked about tonight will be on the website before the end of the day tomorrow. So just give me a few hours to reformat some stuff and get it back up on the website. But before the end of the day tomorrow, we will have all of this information up on the website, and we are going to talk about this again in much more brevity, but we're going to talk about this again on the live streaming at Mass on Sunday, and then everything will be up on the website for the weekend. So when you look at that map, you're going to enter through either side door towards Bradford on Guadalupe or baptismal side, and then you will come in and follow the directions of the ushers and take your pew. Whatever side you enter, you're going to get seated on that side. So if you enter Baptismal side, you're going to be on that side of the center aisle in one of the two sections, and vice versa for the other side. Now, the big change is when we go to communion. We are not going to utilize the center aisle for communion right now. So you can kind of see the arrows based on where you're sitting. Ushers will alternate rows, and there will be fleur-de-lis markers on the ground keeping you at 6 feet. So once we get past the first couple of pews on either side, then they can have you start coming down and stand on those 6-foot markers and advance forward until you get to the minister. The ministers will be at the pillars where we used to be accustomed to having the ministry of the cup. There's going to be 2 Eucharistic ministers, or a priest and Eucharistic minister will be out there at one of the 2 pillars. And if you're on Guadalupe side, you're going to come down to that pillar. If you're on baptismal side, you're going to come down to that pillar. You will receive, and then you will exit to the closest door, either Guadalupe side or baptismal side, and go straight to your vehicle. So that's going to kind of be the process for coming into the church and then exiting church. Now, if you have limitations on mobility, you are in a wheelchair, you are in a walker, and it is still okay in terms of health for you to come to Mass, the exit door on the Guadalupe side will be the entrance you will want to come in. There will be a volunteer or a staff member at that door, and if you have mobility issues, they will check your ticket, reservation, whatever, check your ticket and let you in that door so that you can go straight to that first pew and not have to walk all the way to the back. So of course we want to accommodate that and be sensitive to that, but please do not, and they need your assistance or you have mobility issues. We are going to work this. Jetty is going to be our executive producer on that, and they'll be our co-stars. Put some things up on the website by video so that you can kind of see how this is going to work. So we'll work on that this week and get that out to you.
Last Thursday, Father Don, Father Martin, and myself were talking about coming out of the catacombs and talking about symbols that certainly help us grow and be grounded on our faith. And one of the things that we reflected upon, I hope people were able to do that. I know there were some people that were sending their images about that last week. One of the things I want to remind you, this is something real and not an invention for this situation coming to church. Number one, the capacity of the church, will be small, therefore there are not going to be long lines for communion. And the reason why we're asking you to leave immediately after communion is so we can sanitize the building. Okay? Now, once you receive communion, you have become a tabernacle. You are it. You are holding Jesus. Jesus is in you. That's what we believe. Jesus did not go for a second and then go back to the tabernacle in the church building. So the fact that you received, you have become a living tabernacle. I know our church is beautiful. I know that's a holy place. But you are a holier person by having received communion, which is also an act of reconciliation. Please do not try to go back to your pew and pray your rosary. You can do that at home. You can pray in your car. You can pray anywhere else. You are a tabernacle. You have been, what Father Dunn and I came up with, you have been tabernacled, so to speak. You are it. So Jesus is with you. If you get in your car, you drive home, and you're praying your rosary, or you're praying in the living room, it's the same as being in the church. So please do not attempt to go back after you receive communion to your pews to pray the rosary or to whatever. Go home, continue to pray, and allow us to sanitize and do whatever's next that we have to do in the church building. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to move on. Just a quick thing on offertory. We will still have a collection during the Masses. But again, in terms of continuing the practice of being safe for each other, online offertory is the best option. It is the minimum contact for parishioners and staff. It's expediting processing for us. We are limited staff right now, and for all of my volunteers that come in and help us count money and make deposits and stuff, I love every single one of you. We just can't have you here right now. We can't gather in the parish center for public gatherings like that. So the staff is processing it ourselves. And so the more people, if you can give online, if you're comfortable with that, that is wonderful for us, and it just minimizes everybody's exposure. And just a reminder, follow the link from the parish website or go direct to www.osv, which stands for Our Sunday Visitor, by the way. They're our partner vendor. osvonlinegiving.com/4728. That's our code for our parish with Our Sunday Visitor. So you can go direct, or you can just follow the links on our website. They also have an app if you want to download the app and give that way. But just go to our website, and that will get you there. Father?
I just want to inform everyone that's watching or weeks. We will not be bringing in all of our lectors, all of our ushers, all of our Eucharistic ministers, all of our sacristans. At least for the first 2 weeks, we who are here as staff are going to do most of the ministering to all of you. Why? Because we want to iron out the mistakes. We want to be able to evaluate. We want to be able to have a way to prepare an education session with all of our ministers, whether they're ushers or sacristans or Eucharistic ministers or lectors. Once that opening happens, we want to be able to do it first so that we can learn and improve, evaluate, and then communicate this information to all of you who are ministers here at St. Joseph. We need you. Of course we do. But we want to be able that once we bring you back for you to help at this Mass or that Mass or here or over there, we know what we're doing and we'll be able to look and improve on the mistakes that might happen. So we are going to be the ones being Eucharistic ministers. We might have some lectors. We might have some people that we will invite to help us. But again, we want to be able to look at the overall Sunday and weekday Masses and be able to see what works, what doesn't work, and of course improve on possible mistakes.
So for the physical offertory, if you do need to give by envelope, the drop box at the parish center, our mail slot is always an option for you. During Mass, we will still have a collection, but we have retrofitted our baskets with long handles, so the ushers can reach all the way to halfway through the pew by handle and keep that social distancing, so we will take up that collection. And for the outdoor Mass, we will not go around and take the collection. The outdoor Mass, we will place the two of our larger baskets at the altar and by the music area, and those will be out before Mass begins, and they will stay out until until after Mass is over. One of our staff members or volunteers will man that basket and supervise it. So you can come up at your leisure as you come in or as you leave and drop your offertory if you can't give online, and then we will secure that afterwards. So that's how we will handle physical offertory, both in the church and outdoors.
Just one clarification again, the Mass that we will have out in the field and in the back part of the parking lot, it's not an opportunity for you to bring your barbecue and your hot dogs and the burgers for after Mass. Please don't do that. It's just Eucharistic celebration outdoors. But it's not the time to tailgate or party out in the parking lot.
But Father, we do want everybody to go home and sharpen those barbecue skills, because when it's time to reopen, we're going to have one heck of a barbecue.
Yes, we will.
I mean, yes, we will,
and we will do that. We'll have an opportunity. Once those restrictions are over, we want you to be able to bring your barbecue over and do hot dogs and chicken and burgers and whatever, and we will be happy to see everyone here and be able to do something nice and festive, especially throughout the summer, which will be a wonderful opportunity for us to do.
Our production team was very happy about that. They must be getting hungry. So we're going to get right into ticketing now, and we're going to bring up our ticketing slide. I will have instructions on the website, so please don't panic. We're going to make this as easy as possible, but we do have to have a way of regulating those restricted masses. So tickets will be required for indoor Sunday masses only. No tickets for outdoor. Indoor Sunday masses only. 8 a.m., 10:30 a.m., and 1 p.m. The link will be posted on the website. We are using Eventbrite as our vendor. There is no charge to us for free events. There's no charge to you. Tickets will go on sale on Mondays at 9 a.m. for the following Sunday. So for Sunday the 14th, tickets go on sale starting this coming Monday at 9 a.m. There will be a waitlist option. So once it is sold out, it's hit capacity, you will be directed to a waitlist. Please sign up for it. The reason why we are doing the waitlist is you may not end up being able to get a ticket from the waitlist, but we will then see how many more people really wanted to come in these first couple of weeks. And as Father said, we're adjusting on a daily and weekly basis. So if we know that we had 300 more people that wanted to be there, then we need to rethink what we're doing in terms of mass offerings. And so please use the wait list if you weren't able to get a ticket, and then we will know what we're dealing with in terms of need and population and people that are able to be here at Mass. Again, the outdoor Mass doesn't need a ticket. There won't be an offering for a ticket for outdoors, so don't be surprised when you look at that list. And every week for the upcoming Sunday, tickets will go on sale at.
There is no cost for these tickets. It's just a way to in church building. That's the only way. And the other thing that it's very important for us, if we get 150 people that don't have a ticket, we don't want to turn you back. You're going to break our hearts. But right now, that's what we have to do. And a way for you to know that if you have a guaranteed seating in the church is by getting these tickets. So please follow these instructions. The other thing is, don't run to the website and get a ticket if you're not sure you're going to come. Be charitable. Please allow those that can come to get a ticket. Don't just hold the tickets and say, well, I might I might not come. Don't get a ticket if you're not going to come. Allow those that can come. You might want to observe Mass publicly again in our church for a week or two, and then decide if you want to join. And then the next Monday that comes along, go ahead and try and get a ticket. And we'll try to make sure that we get a rotation. We're not going to be reserving tickets for the nights, and I know the nights are wonderful, but they're not. Even if they try to bribe us, we're not going to get tickets just for them. No, we're going to try to get tickets for everyone. Okay? So we're trying to do this as best as we can right now.
We're going to bring up this slide. This is what the ticketing website will look like. So the link will be, go to our parish website and click on the link, and it will take you to a picture like this. This is what next week will look like. You pick which Mass is appropriate for you, and then you follow the steps to buy the ticket, or reserve the ticket. I keep saying buy the ticket because it's a ticketing website, but there is no charge. So just reserve the ticket by following the instructions, clicking on your Mass. Now you'll notice there's nothing on these three Masses that says buy a ticket yet, or click here to buy a ticket, because they're not live yet. The computer will turn them live automatically Monday at 9 a.m. The link will go live, kind of like a Ticketmaster type thing. So wait till 9 a.m., get your morning coffee and get that mouse ready and get in there and get your ticket at 9 a.m. Now, if you can't use that ticket, if you reserve the ticket, and let's say you're not feeling well on Friday or even on Saturday, shoot us an email or give us a call and leave a message at the office. There's been somebody working 7 days a week. We've been working like crazy. So we will check messages. We will make sure we check messages at least sometime on Saturday. And if you can't use your ticket, please email or call us at the parish center, at the office, so that we can release your ticket to somebody on the wait list. And that way, we have 100 spots in the church. We want to do our best to fill all 100 spots so nobody gets left out. Okay?
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions or concerns, send us an email, call us. We're here. We'll try to address those questions. But again, this is going to take some time for this to become perfect. There might be some mistakes. There might be some errors as we go along. But based on the information that we have, we are basing all this.
And I think that's an important thing to remember, Father Miguel. And if you have questions, I think we've gotten through all of our slides, so all of our information slides. So if you have questions, start bringing them in now. Our team is behind the table, and Henrietta and Summer and Jerry are feeding those questions into us, and we're going to try to get to all of them. But it's important for everybody to remember that we are taking the information that we are getting from public health, from the county, the state, the bishop's office, and we are funneling it to determine what we feel the best practices are for our community here at St. Joseph's. This is going to be a moving target. There's no dress rehearsal. We're going to go live on June 14th with you, and we ask for your patience and grace with our staff, with our volunteers, to just be patient and help us work through the day. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a very long day, and we will try and resolve every problem we can. We know we're not going to be perfect, but we're going to try and be perfect. But allow us to make those mistakes, to work with you, to get everybody seated. We will get everyone through the process, and we will keep reevaluating day by day. But there's no dress rehearsal for us. None of us thought we were going to be dealing with this.
There is
ever,
nothing in the Code
ever.
of Canon Law or the Catechism to tell us how to do this. We're just going day by day and basing ourselves on the information that we're getting that's currently updated, constantly updated, and that we're getting. So this is totally new. There is a question, Mike. If you're a senior and prefer to come to a later Mass, is that okay? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you have a ticket for the 10:30, come to that. If your language is also Spanish and you want to come to the Spanish Mass, you can get a ticket, come to that. If you want to come to the out the field, 7 p.m. Mass, you don't need a ticket, come to it. No problem. Just again, we have to keep distance, and it's important that you are cautious of your surroundings. Will Mike be cutting his beard off? That's a good question, Mike. Are you going to be shaving off?
You know, that question had to come from my wife. I'm almost convinced of it. Or my kids. Or somebody in my family. It came from God? That's what you're telling me? It came from God. Really? I don't think so. It came from my dad. Well, of course, John Spillman would ask that question. And the answer is absolutely not. This is like an epic COVID-19 beard in the making. And, I got it all trimmed up. I think I think I need to compete with Father Dick Delahunty at this point and just get that sucker, let it grow. It's just a reminder of how hard we've worked and all the sacrifice that, this is going to be a St. Joseph beard. So I hope you all support me in prayer on that, and we're just going to keep that beard going.
There's another question that came in from Grace Gonzalez. If you have requested a memorial Mass and your family would like to say it as a group of 10 or 12, will that be, will they be able to sit together? The short answer, Grace, is no. Unless you live in the same house. If it's a mom and dad and 3 children and they live together, they can sit in the same pew. If it's cousins and brothers and sisters and you do not live together, you have to follow the same rule. You have to sit in a different pew. That's the protocol that we have been given. If you're a few pews apart, you will be in the church, but again, in order for you to sit down in the same pew together, it has to be people that live under the same roof. If you don't, then there has to be some distance. Again, being related, and I have to say this because this is important, being related to someone else, if he's your brother, he's your sister, or your mom, that is no guarantee that there cannot be no infection in your family. So again, the protocol is if you live in the same household, meaning that you're sharing everything, you can sit together. If you don't live in the same house, under the same roof, you have to distance. Okay, I hope that answered that question.
I think we did.
How are we doing on questions? Are we done? I think we're done. Okay. Again, we're going to close with the Lord's Prayer and then be able to recognize that.
We've got a couple announcements.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to finish up, just a reminder to everybody, all this information that we presented today will be on the website tomorrow. And we're available if you have questions, email, call. The priests are checking their email and their messages, so is the staff. Jerry Cates, our plant manager, Summer Pongetti, Henrietta Moreno, or myself. Any one of us can answer your questions on these topics. We've all sat together in staff planning. There they are. Well, you got to put it, it's not live though, they can't see you. There's our motley crew. Our stage crew working hard today, and they will answer your questions, as well as Father, myself, Father Martin. Please reach out to us if you have further questions, and the information will be on the website. We hope that you will join us next Thursday for Theology on Tap. I am going to be your host, and I'm going to be joined by Debbie Leverton, who is an expert on stewardship, and has spent her 30-plus year career in stewardship, and Father Don Romito will join us as well. So please join us next Thursday for What's Stewardship, and we're going to break that open and talk less about procedures and more about stewardship and theology and how it fits in our lives. So please join us next week, and I think Father is going to conclude us in prayer.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Let us pray together the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We will see you live streaming on Sunday, and we'll see you next Thursday for Theology on Tap. And before we go, we have one last slide. Hopefully he'll put it up because he's operating the computer. But today is Jerry's birthday, so happy birthday to our plant manager, Jerry Cates, and thank you for working hard on your birthday.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry, and good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you for being part of our show.